Well, good morning, campers. Good morning, Vietnam, as we say around here. Something really weird happened last night because I commented on somebody's video, some personal information about my family, and they thought that that reader jumped to the conclusion that I've been using her name or something like that. I have no idea who she is, really. Usually, in my experience, and I have gotten kind of psychically entangled with a few readers on YouTube. That's what I want to talk about in this video is the psychic grapevine. It's real. We are tapped into each other. And you have to be careful how much energy you contribute to other people's channels, because it might turn out that those people are spiritual enemies. They could be working for the wrong side. They could be dark arts practitioners. Now, I'm not accusing this reader of being like that. I don't know, really. I don't ever really know about people like that. I get a feeling, and I didn't have that feeling about this reader. In fact, I was really vibing with her reads. A lot of stuff she was saying was resonating with me. And what it was she has these cards with names all over them. And there were a whole bunch of names from my story on her cards. Okay. So maybe that's why she thought that I am entangled with her in the 3D. I don't know. But anyway, in my experience, it's necessary to get in there and do an investigation. When you're doing a psychic investigation, that's not the only thing that you can rely on is your psychic ability, okay? You have to also do all those other detective skills, okay? You have to gumshoe around and you have to go into people's channels. I'm gonna shuffle cards while I'm talking, okay? Because I'm gonna pull cards while I'm talking, okay? You have to go investigate their channel. And sometimes that means a deep dive where you watch many of their videos. And I've done this for several YouTube tarot card readers, okay? One of them who, the minute I launched my channel, she did a video, and this was after I had been watching her channel for a long time, before I launched my own, all right? And I don't want to say who she was either, because her channel's gone now, and I don't know why, okay? My channel is shadow banned. I think I know why, because I'm from one of those families, like the family, okay, one of those Eastern Star families, one of those magical families that are inside some of these 3 letters, if you get what I'm saying, okay? I'm from one of those families, and those people do that stuff. They do. They train people in dark arts magic. They also train people in white magic or other things. Now, I'm someone who probably received training but had it wiped, because I think I came out, I think I was born talking, you know. That's what my mother said. She said I could talk almost from the time I was born. That's really weird. When I was just a little baby in the crib, I was talking away. And I think I scared people, probably. They really had to put a tight lock on me. And so I believe that I'm a victim and a survivor of the infamous MK Ultra programs and the Gateway and all that. So if you are a tarot card reader on YouTube and you still haven't realized that you might be like that too, you need to get a clue. That's why I'm making this video. This is a public service announcement. All right, this card wanted to come out. All right, Hierophant. Hierophant is out. Yeah, see, these are the head men who are spiritualists, okay, in those 3-letter agencies. And that 3-letter agency is kind of like a Hierophant entity. So, confirmation, yes. And you maybe too. You need to get a clue that you probably had that done to you, if you haven't realized that yet. Why do you think you're so drawn to tarot cards and tarot card reading? Does it feel like an obsession to you? It does to me. And I think it's part of the training. It's part of probably what they wiped for me. Okay, we just had 2 of Pentacles and 6 of Swords come out. All right, so power off. Do you hear that? That was my Bluetooth speaker turning itself off. So I was just going to say that I had to deprogram myself from a lot of it and work my way out of it after going around in circles for my whole life, probably. Round and around and around you go. And where it stops, nobody knows, you know. That's what they do to you, right? We've discovered that. People will trigger you over and over and over. They have all these triggers. And it's up to you to guide yourself out of there. That's, in a way, for us, that's what doing the work means. It means guiding yourself out of that maze where they keep you, they juggle you and they make you juggle things until you don't know which way is up, right? And that's the way I was before I was blessed by taking early retirement, even though it's a curse in a lot of ways too, because I ended up really poor by doing that. I live on less than $2,000 a month, and it's entitlement though. Okay, under the law, I'm not one of these people who stole somebody else's social security number. I worked for years and paid in. Okay, so I'm entitled to my retirement income. And I signed up a little early, and when you do that, it means your payments are going to be a lot less than if you went to the full retirement age, which I would have reached last year. But I did it 6 years early, so I'm really poor. Okay. And I've been telling you that I was also blessed by inheriting a private home this past year. Well, it's last year now, sorry. It's 2026 now. Wow. In 2025, I inherited a private home from the abuser who was sent to traffic me into here and shut me down because some other people stole my identity. Now, my identity was stolen, okay? I could show you the paper, the police report and stuff. But guess what? I never submitted that paperwork to the proper channels because I was so intimidated by the gang stalking on me going on in this town where I ended up. I was being not only gang stalked on the streets by the local law enforcement, okay, but also where I lived in low-income housing, where it was the only place I could qualify to live. It was the only place I could afford to live. But to qualify to live there, I had to give up all my personal information, my social security number, my birthday, my bank account number, everything that someone could use to steal your identity. And gradually I realized that there was an identity theft ring operating within the low-income housing. Low-income housing is a trap, and if you end up there, it can really be dangerous to you. And before long, they were trying to kill me. And I think that's because even before I moved in there, somebody was already... as soon as I came down to this town and quit my job, my last job I had in Colorado, as soon as I came to this town to stay with this person who had been a ruiner in my life for the previous 20-some years, that I had been helping in my naivety. He was just playing in my face, as we say. But as soon as I got to this town, him and his gang figured out a way to keep me in here. They used some doctors, some shiesty doctors, to have me declared, I think, mentally incompetent. Because I was having sleep issues. And at that time, yeah, they did everything they could to hang on to me, to get me stuck in here. Okay. And maybe even to get their hands on some money that belonged to me. Or help some other people do that. Where was I? Anyway, as soon as I came down here, I was saying, the first year I was here, I was not eligible to retire early yet, because you only become eligible for that when I think when you were 61 at that time. And I was 60 or 59 or something. So I went a couple of years without being retired, living on the rest of the cash I had from selling a townhome in Colorado that I was forced to sell, because the local gangs up there started bearing down on me because I was knowing too much about what was going on there, because I'm psychic. The people that they trained and that they put through these programs, I think, are a double-edged sword for these agencies. That we get out there into the world and we start figuring out things they didn't want us to. And then they come after us and punish us for it, even try to kill us. So I've had many, many, many attempts on my life now since I came here. Many. Survived many. I've survived being poisoned. I've survived having somebody try to blow up my car. I've survived all these psychic attacks from all these weird exotic practitioners they brought in from here and there, all over the world. I don't know where they're from exactly, but I think Nigeria. I think they brought in a Native American one. Yeah, they couldn't stop the wheel from turning for me though. Because it's been turning, the wheel's been turning for me. And that's because I'm honest. I'm true. I'm for real, okay? I'm authentic. I am. The only thing fake about me on this channel is my screen name, okay? Which is a tongue-in-cheek joke about that I'm a old cowhand from the Rio Grande, okay? I don't have a horse. I ride the range in my truck, okay? I do drive a truck, and I do have a cowgirl hat. But I'm not really a real cowgirl. I'm 68 years old, for God's sake. I have arthritis, and I sometimes joke and call myself Walker Texas Ranger too, and I have a card that I made in my New Mexico Sucks deck that has a picture of a walker on it, and I call myself Walker Texas Ranger. So here's the Walker Texas Ranger in my town, and I see this person around town and they just keep on going. See, nothing can stop this person. That's the Walker Texas Ranger energy. So I'm old, okay, and I'm a psychic and a psychic medium. And so what helped me figure out everything was this one little pin that I found that belonged to my grandma. It was a little tiny, teeny little Eastern Star pin, and it's a Daughters of the Nile pin, and it has a pharaoh head on it. Okay, and I got that out, and I knew that I had some of her jewelry still, and I looked at it, and then, okay, I'll tell you what, there's a big chunk of Sherlock Holmes in me, and that was Sherlock Holmes BBC was one of my favorite TV shows ever. And I watched every episode 2 or 3 times. I love that show. And so one of the things I do is I bought a magnifying glass. I bought one. I bought it. Wait a minute. I'm going to show it to you because you'll get a kick out of this. Okay, because I'm going to tell you some things about how to be an investigator. It involves more than just your intuition, okay? It involves getting proof of things. You've got to get proof. You've got to get evidence, okay? You've got to go looking. I'm yelling over here. I don't know if you can still hear me. You've got to go looking for proofs. And so I got this magnifying glass so that I could look at stuff up close. And you wouldn't believe some of the things I found. I looked at that pin under this. It might have been before I got this. I had another one. It was just a cheapo that was all scratched up. And then I replaced it with a really good one so I could really see what I was doing. And I used to be a graphic designer too. And so I still have a flatbed scanner that still works, an old school one. And I scanned a bunch of family photographs too. And that was when I really started seeing things. I'm telling you, going up close on stuff. is a big part of my investigations, whether it's doing it physically or psychically. You've got to go in close for a closer look. You've got to go in for a closer look, people. Okay, so this one reader who I had been watching her channel, and I was really naive about throwing my energy into people's field at that time, and I was emailing her because she was telling my story, and I was sending her all this email about, oh, this is this person and this is that person, and then before I knew it, she was targeting me. And by watching her channel for a long time, I realized she kept talking about dark arts practitioners and what they do and stuff, and I wondered, how does she know so much about that? Then I realized she really was one. Okay. Then she showed up in my dream space. That was the first time ever that had ever happened to me, and I was really freaked out by it. And that's when I knew she was and then I became obsessed with watching her videos, and I watched and I watched and I watched. And at one point, this lady went off the rails, okay? She was a home health care worker. And I think she was dibbling and dabbling in some of the drugs or getting them for herself, and she went on a binge and recorded. She recorded all these readings of herself when she was high on something, and it was real obvious. And leading up to that had been a period where I could tell she was being triggered by somebody on the outside, and I knew that she was. And then that's how I knew she was an MK Ultra victim. She was a victim, okay? She was unhealed. She didn't deprogram. She just, because her family trained her to be one of these psychics who works in the service of other people who don't have the gift, okay? And if they're involved with the deep state or, the coup d'etat that they tried to bring, they'll use them to hunt down other gifteds that they are threatened by. And that's what she was doing with me. Somebody hired her or something, and I think that's why my channel got shadow banned as soon as it went up. Because as soon as it went up, this lady said, she's a real one. She wasn't pointing to me, but I knew she was. I knew she was. And it wasn't too long after that she appeared in my dream space. Okay. So don't get too wrapped up in how magical you think you are. I mean, these are my new camo glasses. Do you like them? Camo reading glasses from emu.com. I wear them because I don't want, when I have them on, I know that you can't see me. Anyway, my spiritual friend who I trained with many, many years ago in my hometown used to tell me that I was going to have to fight someday and that I would have to toughen up. And it didn't happen until I got here to this town. But he used to tease me and tell me that he was going to buy me some boxing gloves and some little pink camo boxer shorts. And so I bought these with him in mind. And, now my abilities have gotten so strong that I scare myself. And sure enough, that was one of his favorite songs. He used to play it for me. It was his favorite band was Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks. And that song is in my playlist in case you want to listen to it. So is I'm an Old Cowhand. Music is another way they program people in the Gateway program. Okay. So if you're a musician or a musical genius or you resonate with music in any way, shape, or form, you're like Mozart. My mother made me watch the movie Amadeus a few times. Yes, Mozart was a genius, but he ended up being assassinated by a jealous asshole competitor. It's a sad movie at the end. So my mother was giving me a warning there. Some of the other movies she made me watch are The Sound of Music about 1,000,000 bazillion times. Okay. Climb every mountain. Yeah, that song is, you know, how do you solve a problem like Maria? How do you catch a moonbeam? Yes, I'm authentic. Yes, I'm an empath. Yes, I cry sometimes when things really get to me. How do you catch a moonbeam in your hand? You can't. We're spirits. We're connected to the spirit world. Give us a card, Spirit, about the spirit world and how we're connected to it. Death. Okay, so yeah, I pierced the veil. I started getting visits from people on the other side. The first one was my grandmother, whose pin I found. Okay, after I looked at it up close, and then I looked it up. I didn't even know what Daughters of the Nile were. Look at this confirmation. I didn't even know what that was. So I went and I looked it up, and that's part of being a good investigator, is doing your research, okay? Then if you get out there in the real world and you start gumshoeing around, as I call it, just getting out there in the 3D and looking around to see what's going on. You might catch a gang stalker in the street right outside your house. I did that recently. For the first time, I talked back to him, okay? I saw him standing there. I knew who he was. I also knew he was probably scouting for another bigger jerk who stalks me. And he was. He was. He was. I knew he was, too. Anyway, when it was a kid, they're using kids, and I yelled at this kid, "What are you doing?" He came and he stood right out in the street in front of my house because he had seen that I was outside. Okay, and this other guy keeps trying to drive up when I'm outside because he wants to tell me something or something. I don't know. But this kid came and he stood right out in front of where I was in my yard behind the fence. And I saw him standing there. And I yelled at him, "What are you doing standing in front of my house?" You know, because I live in a weird situation here where I don't have any immediate next door neighbors. So if somebody's standing right in front of my house, they're standing in front of my house and there's no mistaking it, okay? And he goes, "Nothing, I'm just waiting for them." He was over with some of his little kid friends pretending like they were playing, but they don't live over here. I recognize them from the other side of the neighborhood where the low-income housing I was stuck in for 5 years is. I recognized him from over there, okay? I knew those kids were on the wrong side of the main street that separates me from that place. Okay. But sure enough, as soon as I chased him off, the other guy came right by. And I knew better. I had already gone inside, and I saw him, and I saw him go by. Okay. So that's using your skills. This just came out. See, I think that guy that's stalking me wants to tell me some lies. I don't know. He wants to give me a fishy cup. Excuse me, not confirmation. I used to think, psychic burps were that was just a joke, but until I started doing it too. And itching, that's something that happens to me too. Really bad itching. And then after I discovered, if you'll look at some of my recent videos, after I discovered that some of us have different kinds of animal DNA, I get all kinds of reactions on one of my arms, okay? that are really weird. When I get scared, when I panic, when I get upset, it just happens on one of my arms. I don't even want to tell you what it all is, but it's really weird. And it's, if I look at it, it's things that relate to certain animals. So, see, there's some real world evidence that's plausible that some of us have mixed DNA with a pinch of this and a pinch of that. So anyway, before you leap to any more conclusions, go do your real detective work, okay? Go ahead. My channel's there. It's Shadow. Okay, the Coca-Cola truck just went by. It's the real thing. Just went by my window. I think some of these trucks under the dome are giving me messages too. Like the Cheetos truck goes by a lot. Can't touch this, you know? What is it they say about us starseeds? You know, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And in colloquial parlance, can't touch this. Okay, you never seen that ad with, what's his name? MC Hammer, I think, for Cheetos. Don't. Can't touch this. That's an old Cheetos ad. Look that one up. It's very funny, and it has more than one meaning. Okay, he's wearing red and black harem pants. The Empress just fell out. See, she's the real thing. I'm not using your name, okay? I didn't steal anybody's identity. My identity was stolen. And it happened in the lead up to the COVID. Okay, now, this is what I want everybody to understand. You're not the only one that had your identity stolen. A lot of people did. And probably a lot of starseed people did, because it was part of the plan to take us all out, or to find out who we all were, too. Okay? They were running a starseed dragnet. You bet they were. They wanted us to pop up and show ourselves. But people were stealing our identities. And I think it was all part of that attack. Okay, it wasn't just a bio attack. And if you were smart enough, you didn't do the thing that would cause you to be called out. You didn't, oh, what just came out? The Hangman and the Five of Pentacles. Yeah, they ran this dragnet to get you caught up, make you poor so you couldn't get out from under your dome, as I called it. You might want to look at some of my videos about being under the domes. But what happened during the COVID was they nasal swabbed everybody. Okay, that was part of finding out who was who and who was what, okay? Those were DNA tests, not flu tests or whatever. So I think they found that there were a lot of clones, people with missing DNA, you know. That was what was found out in the first round. And those people, a lot of them are gone already. This is not funny, but a lot of the people that are getting called out were not really humans. They were like fake humans or something, and I think they were just there to be workers and worker bees, and I don't know. Because after the war, the country got boomed up to be a real cash cow, right? After World War II, that was part of the plan too. Okay, this just came out. Ace of Wands, yes. That's a yes. Okay, I'm gonna take it that way. Confirming what I'm saying. And the plan was to have this country generate a lot of money, so that it could then be taken, milked off of everybody. And they waited a few generations before they did that. That was part of the plan too. And the plan was to not only to do a big bio attack, right? This is coming from across the ocean. All right, the research was done over there. And deep state's full of people that are affiliated with those people. Okay. It's another 3-letter thing, but it's not American. And it starts with a C and another C and has a P on the end, okay? Those people did that's where the COVID was created. As part of an attack on this country, to take over the country. They first did that, and then in all the confusion of making people stay home and stuff and wear masks and everything, that was like a takeover. But there was mass identity theft that was done and mass crime to milk off all that money that I was just talking about. When everything went to Zoom, remember? And all the court proceedings were on Zoom, and then it was real easy for imposters to go in and pretend to be you on a Zoom court case and say they were you. They weren't there in the 3D, so they, nobody knew who they really were. That's when a lot of people's identities got stolen. All right, I probably said enough for now, but I just wanted to clue some people in. Get a clue, people. We're in a war. We are, and there are all kinds of people in America that are on the wrong side of this, that took their jobs and perks and everything just for money. A lot of them not realizing who they were actually working for. Another show that tells you everything is Mr. Robot. That's an old TV show from just before this period hit. That tells the whole story, and in the end you find out who the transgender Chinese person is, okay. Elliot was a gateway kid. Get out of here. Okay, what else? All right, get out of here. What'd I just say? See, Spirit has a sense of humor. Right now, we're coming out of that period. Okay, so the matrix is dissolving, and what that really is a bunch of mind control that was done on everybody with frequency fences and fake news. The so-called legacy media is not watched by everyone anymore. People are getting their news on YouTube. Some of them are getting their news from you. A lot of people don't know this, but a lot of these people in legacy media are trans. A lot of them are. Some of them it's really obvious, like all these daytime news show queens, couldn't be more obvious. Okay, the wheel's turning on those people, and they know it. They're panicking in Colorado because Colorado is like a ground zero for these dark arts, 3-letter agency people. They're panicking up there. I still follow the Colorado news, and I make comments on there. And every time I do, I get attacked like you would not believe. It's terrible. And they have that woman, Tina Peters, a prisoner up there. She's been in solitary confinement with a 9-year prison sentence for trying to, she committed a felony by breaking into a polling facility, but I think she was trying to find out or show proof that the mail-in ballots were fraudulent, okay? because Colorado went to mail-in ballots a long time before Obama was even elected. Okay. I think they went to mail-in ballots before Obama was elected. Or they went to electronic voting, and it was immediately cheated and trashed. Okay, what does this mean? I think this is those 3-letter agencies. It's a 3, okay? The dark arts 3-letter agency people. Okay, they have people that are tarot card readers. Yes, they do. And they have people that watch all the tarot card readers because they did those programs. Get a clue. You were in a program. If you're obsessed with tarot cards and stuff, and also you're telling the same stories over and over and over and over and over, okay? You made your own deck, but at the same time, a bunch of other people made their own deck too, and they all say the same thing. My channel stands out, in my opinion, because I'm one of the few people who broke out of that whole story and broke out into the bigger stories about woo. I call it woo, and the bigger galactic stories and the starseed stories of where are you from? What kind of blood do you have? What are your abilities? Where did they come from? And what's going on in exopolitics and stuff like that. A lot of my readings are talking about stuff like that too. Okay, I broke out of the, your Black Widow sister-in-law killed your brother, although that did happen in my family. I think so. Okay, family. What's on the bottom of the deck here? Okay, this always to me looks like conspiracies and clandestine meetings and, behind the scenes plan making and plotting and stuff. So it's another 3, right? 2 3s in a row. 3. Oh, that's another Masonic number. Okay, and by the way, it's not pronounced Masonic. Whoever is saying that out there. Would you do your homework? It's Masonic, okay. The family. Look at that. The family. All right. Last night, one of the songs in my playlist, all the songs in my playlist are trigger songs. One of them is Sly and the Family Stone. Okay. Thank you for letting me be myself again. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. Yeah, he's one that probably did the sacrifice thing to, 33 to have the fame. Probably did. I don't know, but he might have. I didn't do my research on his family. Did anyone in his family mysteriously die? 33 is how old Jesus was when he was crucified. So the Masons, that's like their little in-joke. That's a lot of times how old the person will be when they get sacrificed. That's how old my little brother was when he died. He was 33. Okay. So, if you're Eastern Star, you need to do a deep dive about all that stuff and about MK Ultra too, and about how to make an undetectable monarch slave. Okay, and that was the first thing I landed on when I woke up. Way back in, I think it was around 2011. I woke up in Colorado, okay, and realized that I was mind controlled. Damn. Look what Spirit does with these cards. Yeah. The first thing I landed on, doing my research, was a website called. Look, I just saw 39 on the timer. Okay, I've been going for quite a while now. I've been wagging my tongue for quite a while now. One last card. All right, again. Again, is that 2, 3 times this has come out in this reading? The wheel is turning. The matrix is dissolving. And what that is all the mind control comes off of everybody. And even the domes can't hold us in anymore. And everybody wakes up and none of their crap works anymore. Their lies, their triggering, their mind control doesn't work anymore. The frequency fences are coming down. And the fog is going to clear, okay? The fog of war is going to clear off your mind. But you still have to do the work of deprogramming yourself and doing your investigation the proper way, all right? You can't just rely on your intuition. You have to also get out there and another 3, triangulate, okay? Do your research. Get out there and gumshoe around in the 3D too. All right, I just saw a bird fly by, so maybe that's some kind of confirmation. Bottom of the deck. All right, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. That's what I did. I separated myself off from everyone and everything. This house, even as old and decrepit as it is my sanctuary, and nobody can get to me anymore in here. They can't. They can't spy on me from next door anymore. They can't come and gang stalk me right outside my door anymore. They can't do any of that shit. They can't send in an exotic practitioner from Nigeria to be my next door neighbor, you know. Okay, I keep saying last card. This is, okay, I'm just gonna, whatever's on the bottom of the deck is gonna be the last card. Again! Boundaries. This I'm getting, don't listen to everything that everyone's saying, okay? Some of the information you have to discern what is valuable and what isn't. Okay, so discernment. That's part of the deprogramming process, is developing discernment and understanding when someone's triggering you and when they might be a Agent Smith from the Matrix, or if they're just somebody who said something but didn't mean to, that doesn't know anything about it, you know. Those people are out there too, but if you're in one of these testing areas under a dome, you know, it's likely that everybody knows who you are under there. I know that everyone around here knows who I am. Everyone in the town knows who I am. I know that sounds like some kind of delusional egotism or something, but no. When I first came to this town, people didn't know, but gradually they started catching on, and I think it's because my apartment was cammed up and they started selling the feed to people in town. And these low vibrational people are very entertained by gang stalking. So look, now this time I'm getting under a dome, under the dome. This whole family of clones is a facade. This is a fake town, okay? It's a facade. This card can mean a facade, okay? That means a fake face or a mask on things, or an illusion. This town is fake. Everything in this town is fake. And the low-income housing had cameras in every unit, and gang stalking events were being staged so they could be live streamed, I think. So consider that. When you think about your gang stalking, it might be being live streamed. Your life might be also. And that was one of the things I learned, to go back to that first reader that her channel isn't there anymore, the dark arts one. She was the one who was first trying to tell everybody about hidden cameras. And I thank her for that, but she's not a good person. No, she's not. I made some discoveries about her later that were really icky. I even published a picture to my post page of her sticking her tongue out. And, you know, when people do that. It's a sure sign they're into dark arts. It's a sure sign. Okay. One last card. I keep saying that. All right, 1111. 1111. Okay, somebody out there is an 1111er. You figure that out. Okay. Okay. All right, thank you for coming by for another, whatever this was. It was a public service announcement talk today. This has been a PSA for your benefit. Okay, listen up.